Oh boy, we're here, aren't we? Welcome to my YouTube channel, Climbinator 1978 or 1978, whichever way you wish to pronounce it. Yes, it's I, Climbinator. And yes, I went and saw this film, Madam Web, with a group of friends last Friday. And all I can say is this. We went out for an evening out and saw this movie at my local Odeon multiplex. And it really was a case of the fact that I enjoyed the evening out with my friends more than the film itself. Sorry, I'm scoffing my lunch here. This movie was a waste of my damn time. It really was. It's just terrible from start to finish. The acting is awful, the writing is terrible, and the story doesn't even need to exist. I don't know where to start. I mean, if you're wondering why I've made this a one clip video, a one caption video, it is literally because the acting, the whole acting that you see coming from the actors is all brought together in this one image. It's all flat. It's completely flatlined, which is ironic considering that Madam Web in the film starts out as a paramedic. So it's dead on arrival. Anyway, the film itself starts off in 1973, where we catch up with Madam Web's mother, and she's heavily pregnant on an expedition trip in somewhere like South Africa. I don't know, I lost all interest already, but she's got this assistant with her called Ezekiel. I'm going to call him Terry throughout the rest of this review because he goes on to become the villain of the film. Terry the Terrible, I'm going to call him. Yep, he is the one that basically looks like evil Spider-Man from the trailers that you've seen. I'm going to get to that in a minute, by the way, the trailer. But yes, Madam Web's mother finds this red spider in the Amazonian rainforest or wherever she is, and it bites her. And Ezekiel basically says, "Do you know how great this red spider is? It gives regeneration powers and abilities, the abilities of a man-sized spider. It can bend time and everything." So, of course, it basically foreshadows the whole entire film. He shoots Madam Web's mother, so how come she couldn't see that coming already? I don't know. He shoots her and leaves her to die. And then all of a sudden these like tribal arachnid men come out of these trees. They take her to this river that's basically filled up with what looks like spider sperm. And they dunk her in it. They dunk her in this magical river pond, and she temporarily comes back to life just to see her newborn daughter for one last time, and then pegs out. We then go forward to 2003. Madam Web is now a paramedic, and she's a cold-hearted bitch, and she doesn't let anyone get close to her because her mother died, despite the best attempts of her colleague Ben, who is married to Mary. You might as well just call her May. Right. No, his sister-in-law is called Mary. See? Ugh. Because that's right, Ben hints that he has a girlfriend. And it's hinting that it's May. Ugh. But we never hear the name May. Same as when we meet Ben's in-laws, which are Richard and Mary, who's played by Emma Roberts. And they go to a baby shower. They play Guess the Name of the Baby. And of course, Madam Web is about to reveal the name because she can tell the future by this point. But all of a sudden she gets called away because there's an emergency on a bridge. Her and Ben go to this emergency where a car has been upturned and it's now dangling half over the bridge. The driver is still inside. Now, I have limited knowledge on how paramedics rescue people in situations like this, but from what I understand, this is not a job for the paramedics to do. And even if they had to, they certainly wouldn't do it as they do in the film, where they make it look like a Call of Duty rescue operation. I.e. they just dive right in, get the person out and extract them from the wreckage within seconds. And they do it so smoothly. No. Normally it'd be a job carefully done, very carefully done. Not done like as if it's a Rambo video game. And also it's normally done, I believe, by the fire rescue department. But of course, this is Sony's Spider-Man universe, so logic goes out the window. Anyway, Madam Web ends up trapped in the vehicle. And she falls off into the river, which also has this magical spider power lagoon stuff. Somehow. Despite being on the other side of the world. And it's here that she gets her special abilities. Despite nearly dying in the process. All of a sudden we get a jump cut to where there's CPR being done on her. And then she just gets discharged and goes home. She starts seeing mysterious visions to a point where she finds out that there's 3 girls who are about to have their lives endangered because of the villain. Now I'm going to get to him now. Terry the Terrible. Terry the Terrible has a dream. Well, he has a dream that we see in the film, but he reveals to the older woman that he's sleeping with that he keeps having these dreams of these 3 spider women that will eventually kill him in 10 years' time. He sees them and he's got a mysterious hacker woman at this point who's nameless, and she eventually tracks down where these 3 women, who are currently at this point teenage girls, actually are. So Terry the Terrible dons his Spider-Man cosplay costume, which looks more like Darth Maul, and of course he goes web swinging around and he finds them on this subway train, which Madam Web happens to be on. I'm going to call this When Terry Met Madam Web. And Madam Web has multiple visions of these girls being killed by this guy. So she gets them all off the train. She gets everyone off the train. And when they're on the platform being confronted by the police, because the teenage girls think Madam Web's trying to kidnap them, Terry the Terrible is in Darth Maul costume and he crawls along this ceiling and he comes down, kills the coppers, and instead of killing Madam Web and the teenage girls right there, he pretty much allows them to get away. At least he allows them to get a head start, so that they could run away, get into a cab and drive off into the countryside, which leads to Madam Web leaving the girls in the wilderness for 3 hours, as she states in the film, while she goes back to her apartment to get some valuable item of hers, which means nothing to the film's narrative, or at least it's nothing sufficient, apart from the fact she goes back to the apartment and tries to learn how to wall crawl, and it ends disastrously. She then goes back to the girls, and finds that they're not where she left them, but they're now in an American diner. And they're dancing on tables trying to impress these rugby player types who are literally about 15 years older than these teenage girls, and it looks really creepy, or at least looks really awkward to watch. So of course Madam Web is about to rescue them from these blokes when Darth Maul comes in. He easily thrashes all of them. Madam Web then goes back in time, goes back to the car that she left behind, and I kid you not, what she does next is like something out of a Grand Theft Auto game. She goes back in time, picks up the car, and drives it right through the entrance of the diner, knowing that there could have been civilians there. Ugh, I hate this movie. It's a waste of my damn time. But I'm here doing a review of it because I saw this film so you don't have to. Anyway, the rest of the film is a big chase between Madam Web with the teenage girls being chased by Darth Maul dressed up by Terry. This film sucks. Oh, and as for the product placement, well, they might as well just, there's so much of it by Pepsi that they might as well got Terry to dress up as Pepsi Man. Oh, this film actually exists. It's in cinemas right now. God damn it! And Terry gets killed at the Pepsi factory. He gets killed by a Pepsi sign. And just before he dies, Madam Web says, "It wasn't the girls that kill you in the future. It was me." Which means that the whole entire plot is senseless. I really hate this film. I thought Morbius was bad, but this makes Morbius look like Avengers Endgame. This makes Morbius look like the Dark Knight, in fact. In fact, this has actually made me tempted to go and buy Morbius, just to try and erase this memory. Even Dakota Johnson clearly hates it, as you can tell in interviews. She's coming across as feigning it in. But I tell you now, I've sat through Superman 4, Batman and Robin, Catwoman, Green Lantern, BVS, X-Men Origins Wolverine, Justice League. I've sat through countless others, but none of them beat this when it comes to god awfulness. This sucks.